355.
Ground pyros enabled.
Launch pad ordnance circuits are now enabled.
Hold. Flight control received a CCLS hold at approximately T-minus 350.
LC switch not ready. All personnel turn to recycle section. Operation 80. LC switch is not ready. Clock stopped at T-minus 3 minutes, 50 seconds. Starliner, you should not hear any vent at this point.
Starliner standing by.
ALC, reset countdown clock to T-minus 4 minutes and holding.
Active.
LC Peony 2.
Go ahead.
Centaur tank pressures are stable.
Roger.
LC Peony 1.
Go ahead.
Atlas tank pressures are stable.
Roger. OSM, place SRB ignition SNA switch to disabled position.
SRB ignition disabled.
Okay, consoles, step 60, report launch vehicle status. Atlas lead.
Atlas tank pressures and helium bottles stable. Atlas propulsion system stable.
Roger. Centaur lead.
Centaur tank pressures and helium bottles stable. Centaur propulsion system stable. Has gas readings nominal.
Roger. Vehicle electrical. VE, channel 1.
Avionics system stable.
Roger. And LC can verify no indications of hazards. Flight, LC.
LC Starliner systems are stable.
Roger. Starliner, last arm switch to off.
Last arm switch is off.
SCS in pre-flight mode, SSVAPs inactive, OCU safe, and EDS in test mode.
Roger. Arm control, deploy the crew access arm.
Roger.
Starliner, proceed with ordnance deactivation.
Action 1. Ordnance deconfigured. All off.
Roger.
LC.
And go ahead, ALC.
Countdown clocks reset T-minus 4 minutes and holding.
Roger. Flight, verify CST 100 ordnance is safe.
Verified.
Okay, all stations, recycle systems back to T-minus 4 and holding configuration. Hold time occurred at T-minus 3 minutes, 50 seconds. Report status at completion. And flight, LC.
LC.
CST 100 power to external.
Copy. We'll put it in order.
LC Electron.
Go ahead.
Subset Bravo, Atlas LO2 continuing topping.
Roger.
LC Lux 2.
Go ahead.
Substep Golf, Centaur LO2 continuing topping.
Roger.
LC Field 2.
Go ahead.
Centaur LH2 continuing topping.
Roger.
LC
LC.
Peony 1.
Go ahead, Peony 1.
Atlas Pneumatics pressure stable.
Roger.
LC Peony 2.
Go ahead.
Substep Echo CEC active.
Roger.
And substep Foxtrot, sensor pneumatic system stable.
Roger.
LC Prop 1,
Go ahead.
substep Charlie and substep Delta, Atlas propulsion and hydraulic system stable.
Roger.
LC ECS,
Go ahead.
substep November, ECS set point stable.
Roger.
LC, this flight control.
Go ahead.
Substep Kilo, flight control ready.
Roger.
If you're just joining us here at Cape Canaveral Space
LC
Force
arm.
Station,
Go ahead.
True axis arm is deployed.
Roger.
we did have a automatic hold of our ground launch sequencer shortly after we began our terminal count for today's launch attempt. No indication yet as to what caused that hold of the automatic ground launch sequencer. Team is still evaluating data. In the meantime, the team is active recycling the vehicle to a good holding state so that we can prepare for our next steps. But for now,
Roger.
we are holding at T-minus 4 minutes, recycling the vehicle after a hold of our ground launch sequencer shortly after picking up terminal count for today's launch opportunity.
LC has gas. Go has gas. Substep hotel has gas. Normal scan pattern including cat. Roger.
And flight LC. Channel 1.
Flight. Yeah.
Roger. Secure CST 100 prop system. Last valve to remain open.
Flight copies. Probably take us at least 5 minutes here.
Yeah, copy.
We're going to send it over to NASA's Daryl Nail over at Hangar AE for some continuing coverage of our current
FTS
status.
LC.
Daryl?
Thanks, Dylan. And I'm listening to the NASA operations
Yeah, just looking for
manager's
your
loop.
recycle status.
Recycle.
Roger. SYS LC.
Yes, LC, GC3 is ready.
Roger.
As you mentioned, the ULA team now safing the vehicle making sure all the high energy systems that were prepared to launch are now put into a safe configuration. At 12:21 p.m., roughly T-minus 3 minutes and 39 seconds, we got a hold.
Launch Director, LC Channel 1.
LDM1.
Yes, sir. So we had a hold call at T-minus 3 minutes and 50 seconds by the CCLS launch sequencer. So at this time, we've completed our recycle back to T-minus 4 and holding configuration and ready to proceed with a scrub crew egress operation.
Yeah, roger that. Standby.
Roger.
There you heard confirmation of the scrub call for this launch attempt today. Again, this was the ground launch sequencer, essentially the computer that
Yeah, go.
launches.
LC.
Roger.
This is the computer that is
Okay, all
charged.
personnel going to Operation 85. OSM, LC.
OSM.
Establish the BDA roadblocks and open the flight hazard area.
Roger.
And all personnel on Channel 1 will be starting an approximate 65-minute hold at this time for flight crew egress. All systems maintain T-minus 4 and holding configuration.
The hold time is not relevant at this point. The fact is they're getting it into a state where they can go through and get the crew out of the spacecraft. But I was mentioning the computer. This is the computer that when we go into terminal count, launches the rocket, brings a number of systems and a huge number of operations all at a rapid pace. Something with the GLS, it's not understood at this time what it is, caused the GLS to throw an automatic holdout at T-minus 3 minutes and 50 seconds.
Arm control.
Yeah, per step 40, can you give me that call out on the status of the crew access arm?
Crew access arm deployed and latched. Arm control is terminated, ready for personnel access.
Roger. And FELC,
Go ahead.
start CAT TVM system monitoring.
Roger.
RLM, LC,
RLM on 1.
disable RLM line items for crew egress per red line report.
Roger.
LCFE.
Go ahead.
CAT TVM system enabled. Readings nominal.
Roger.
The NASA operations manager now conveying to his team that they are looking at possibly a 24-hour turnaround.
Go ahead, flight.
Yeah, CST 100's on ground power.
Roger.
Of course, there'll be a lot of data to look at, but
And flight LC.
LC, go ahead.
Yeah, just looking for your estimate for prop system securing, to support pad entry.
Need 5 more minutes.
Roger. Thank you.
everything you're hearing now is about getting the crew, which is the primary focus at this moment by the launch team, out of the spacecraft and back on the ground. So configuring the crew access arm, it's locked in. They continue to do the operations, which are in their schedule for a launch scrub, moving through those methodically. The report out that we heard by the CGLS was that at the time of the scrub, when the hold was listed, it didn't appear to load into the proper configuration. ULA will work to try to understand the cause behind that. They don't know that at this time. They'll be studying the data NASA's commercial crew team will be right there with them, helping and assisting throughout this process. So we can see on the views here inside Hangar AE that they have the crew access arm back locked into the Starliner. You can see that on your screen there. Essentially, the team now working just to recap, if you're just joining us at 12:21 p.m. Eastern Time, T-minus 3 minutes and 50 seconds until liftoff. A hold was given by the ULA launch team, an automatic hold that was issued by the ground launch sequencer, the computer that takes over terminal count. The reason for that hold is not known at this time. The focus now by the launch team is to make sure the rocket is in a good and safe configuration. That's many of the calls that you're hearing out. And also that they, once it is safe enough, that they get the crew of Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams, have them exit the spacecraft, come back down the elevators, and head back to crew quarters. I want to bring in United Launch Alliance commentator Dylan Rice.
System stable.
Pneumatic?
Tank
And
pressure stable.
yeah, Daryl, the team continues to work through the process to establish a stable configuration so that we can start pulling the crew off of the Starliner capsule. Still no update yet in terms of what caused the ground launch sequencer abort, but just like loading the crew, we establish a safe and stable configuration with the launch vehicle before we begin the egress process, and the configurations are very, very close to the same actually. We'll be maintaining the propellant systems in a topping mode and not changing the state of the Atlas or Centaur as we go through the approximate 1 hour process of egressing Butch and Sonny from the Starliner capsule. But teams are continuing to evaluate the data and look into the cause of the ground launch sequencer abort. In the meantime, we will start to see indications that the team is re-entering the pad, and in fact, the direction was just given to allow the blue team back into the pad. So we will start to see that activity now, and teams come back into the pad, back up the tower, and begin the process of opening up Starliner and egressing Butch and Sonny.
Yeah, so that's a good sign there. You mentioned with the blue team coming back to the pad, they are the ones that will pull the crew out of Starliner. We heard that the pad area is cleared for them to come in. It's a good sign. Dylan, what's your time estimation on the team going through the rest of their procedures to make sure that the crew can go ahead and get up the elevator?
Actually, I think that we're there. So it's been just about 20 minutes since the hold was called, and in that 20 minutes time, we've established those configurations. In fact, we don't even let the pad team come back to the fence line until those safe and stable configurations have been established. So, once the team will of course be standing by at the fallback area, and they were contacted via radio and told to proceed back to the gate, and they will proceed through the gate and right back up to the crew access tower and on up to level 12, where they can begin configuring the white room. So we are there at this point in terms of being ready to redeploy the environmental seal, which kind of encloses the Starliner door into the white room, and then we'll begin opening up Starliner so that we can egress Butch and Sonny.
Yeah, we can see from this shot here that environmental seal is not on. Of course, this is the configuration right before you move the crew access arm either away or back to the capsule. So you can see the open air between the white room and the crew capsule. That will take the blue team, of course, getting up to the white room to put that environmental seal in place, which they are on the way. I'm monitoring some of the camera feeds. They haven't arrived yet, but they are on their way, as we've heard from the loops. Dylan, just give us an idea of the role the ground launch sequencer plays in the final 10 minutes of terminal count.
So essentially, the launch sequencer is performing all the actions that are occurring during the terminal count. So you will hear our operators provide status at the terminal count, but those operators are not actually performing manual actions. They're just reporting on the actions of the ground launch sequencer. So, for instance, the vehicle propellant tanks will transition from a topping mode into a pressurization mode as they are pressurized to their flight pressure. Once the tanks are pressurized, we'll start to configure the avionics systems as well for launch, and ultimately hand over to from the ground computer to the flight computer, which handles the actual final seconds of the countdown prior to liftoff. But the ground launch sequencer is securing propellant topping. It's beginning the process of pressurizing the vehicle for flight. It will be transitioning the vehicle from the ground electrical systems to the onboard batteries, and enabling the ordnance systems, ultimately leading to the engine ignition sequence once the control has been handed over from the ground computer over to the flight computers.
And you've mentioned just some of the things that GLS does, right? It is a very busy computer in the final 10 minutes, as you mentioned, going through all of these very timely high energy systems that are being configured at in the last minutes before liftoff. To recap, if you're just joining us, the mission, the NASA Boeing's crew flight test of the Boeing Starliner was scrubbed at 12:21 p.m. Eastern Time, when a hold was issued by the ground launch sequencer for the Atlas V rocket. It was at T-minus 3 minutes and 50 seconds, just a little less than 4 minutes before liftoff, when that abort was called. The crew of Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams, who are inside the capsule at the top of this rocket, as you can see here, are safe and are awaiting. There you see a shot of them. There's Sonny on the left and Butch on the right. They are awaiting the arrival of the blue team to come out to the launch pad and help them egress, which essentially means get out of the Starliner capsule and head back to crew quarters. It's a process that requires that team to do some manual work to lock in the crew access arm to the Starliner capsule. And so they will wait for those moments to arrive. And if we've got Lauren Brennicky on, our PAO with the Boeing team. Okay, we just heard a call that the blue team is entering the pad, and I can see them on the closed circuit television. They are in their van, as you can see there, the shot there, arriving back. This is the team that will head back up the launch tower and up into the white room. They will secure the crew access arm to Boeing Starliner, open up the hatch, and get the astronauts out. Just prior to this, 20, 30 minutes or so, we've been listening to the ULA team safe the Atlas V vehicle, basically going through a number of steps to make sure that the tanks for the liquid oxygen, liquid hydrogen, the RP1 propellant, make sure everything is in a safe configuration before they allowed this crew to get on the pad. And you see the van there with the 321 backing up to the launch tower. Lauren, I want to ask you about, you've spent a lot of time studying the procedures for Starliner. Talk a little bit about the egress and this process that we're getting ready to undergo.
Yeah, Daryl, a lot of what they'll be doing is really what we've watched during this countdown, just in reverse. I'm listening on some of the side channels to the teams talking about going through their checklist, and this is something that we've practiced many, many times in the simulator, and the teams follow along during those sims where a scrub is often the case in some of the different sim scenarios they put together. And so they will go through this checklist that they know very well, where they will go through the everything that it takes to basically get the spacecraft back in the shape that it needs to be in, so that we can turn around and do this again and go for it again. Of course, we have launch windows tomorrow, as well as the 5th and the 6th. We don't yet know how quickly the turnaround would be for this, if it's something we can get back in order for tomorrow, or if we need to wait until the 5th or 6th. But Butch and Sonny are veteran astronauts who are very used to the world of scrubs. And during the last scrub, we even talked about how Sonny says that sometimes the scrub just knocks the pressure off a little bit, and they're used to it. So if you've heard Butch's voice on the loops in the last 20 minutes or so, you can tell that his spirits still seem high. Of course, it's disappointing, but it is part of the business, and the ultimate goal is just to make sure that our precious cargo, Butch and Sonny, are safe.
Absolutely. Well said, Lauren. And there you see the blue team at the base of the launch tower, getting ready to head up the elevator to make their way to the crew access arm and then into the white room. We did hear, of course, they wouldn't be there if this weren't the case, but Starliner is also safed. We talked about the rocket, the Atlas V, and the procedures they had to go through to make sure it was safe for people to go back to the pad and to pull the crew out. Starliner, as you know, was also safed. And they are headed in the elevator, getting ready to go up. Dylan, you're a launch conductor, and so you've done a number of launches. In situations like this, there can be a 24-hour recycle. We don't know if that's going to be the case yet. But tell me about what's involved when ULA recycles a launch 24 hours later.
Well, Daryl, that's true, and even in a situation like this where we're still working through the details of the issue that caused the hold, by default we're going to set ourselves up to come back at our next earliest opportunity, which is tomorrow. So our default position is going to be setting up for that 24-hour turnaround, and there are a number of things that go into that coordination. The first of which would be immediately coordinating with the Space Launch Delta 45, our Eastern Range partner, to let them know that we are intending to utilize that day, which actually has already been scheduled as a backup launch day. So we'll be coordinating that with their teams, and all the support that we get from the SLD 45. And additionally, we'll be working to establish our systems on Launchpad 41 in a state that is ready for another launch attempt tomorrow. So even though we do still have some work to do this afternoon, which will include detanking Atlas and Centaur, at the end of the day, probably approximately 4 hours from now, we'll have the vehicle fully detanked, and we'll have the systems turned around and ready for another countdown opportunity tomorrow. So that could take a little bit longer if the anomaly team comes up with some troubleshooting steps that we need to run through, but have not heard anything like that just yet. For now, I think our team is still looking at data, but we're going to proceed as if we're going to make an attempt tomorrow until such time as we learn that wouldn't be possible. But for now, we are proceeding for a launch attempt tomorrow.
Yeah, the great point about the launch attempt is already there and available tomorrow if the NASA, ULA, and Boeing teams decide to take it. It's worth noting that T0 is already set for June 2nd, and it's 12:03 and roughly 07 seconds p.m. Eastern time. Again, 12:03:05 p.m. Eastern time, as you're looking at the blue team configuring the crew access arm around the Starliner capsule, where inside astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams are inside awaiting to be egressed or pulled out of the capsule. You can see the tethers that the blue team are attached to for safety reasons. They're 212 feet up in the air on level 12, and you see they've got make sure their tethers are attached well as they work to bring that environmental seal down. We'll see them doing that.
And Daryl, in situations like this, we have the rocket here on Launchpad 41, and that does get most of our attention, but it's easy to sometimes lose track of the fact that we do really have a large network of assets that support missions like this. So for instance, we've heard from the Houston teams. We've got the folks in Houston that will be taking actions as well. We have support from the Egress satellite network, and we'll be coordinating that for support for tomorrow. So it really is a large team that supports these missions that is beyond the launch site and beyond what you can see, as the rocket lifts off the pad that supports all these missions. And so it does, there's a little bit of effort that goes into coordinating all those assets and making sure that everyone is ready for a launch attempt the following day.
Absolutely, Dylan. The number of teams involved, as you mentioned, Space Force just one of them with responsibility for the range. Of course, your team, United Launch Alliance, with a great effort there with the United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket, Boeing with the Starliner spacecraft, NASA with a commercial crew program, and the engineers and managers who oversee that program to make sure that America has access to one of its most cherished resources, orbiting laboratory 250 miles above the surface of the Earth, the International Space Station, where astronauts there were hoping to get an arrival 24 hours later of this particular capsule. But as Sonny Williams has said, at more than a couple of meetings that I've listened to, there's nothing magical about this time or date to launch. You want to launch when everything is ready, and that is not today, but the teams will study whether or not that opportunity is tomorrow. As you can see there now, the blue team, one member on his stomach, making sure to seal up that environmental enclosure there in the white room. And Lauren, taking this hatch off is a process as well. We saw them secure it, and now they're getting ready to remove it.
Yep, exactly. Like I said earlier, really, it's just doing everything in reverse. And, they had practice doing this just a little under a month ago. So um, they are going through those procedures right now. It's something they know very well. And it just takes a little bit of time to make sure that this is completely closed in. It is obviously very important that we don't get anything from the outside into the spacecraft, keep that a very clean environment. So, they'll have that sealed up here shortly, and then we'll start to see them open the hatch to Starliner.
One of the benefits, one of the silver, because we can call it silver lining from the previous launch scrub, is that all the teams are able to take a moment now and study the data from what was essentially a wet dress that got down to just under 4 minutes. The launch team will do this. They'll look at the data, they'll study and see how everything responded. Starliner and the Boeing team will do the same thing. And of course, on the May 6th attempt, that's when they discovered the helium leak and then studied that issue for a number of days and came up with a plan to make sure that was accounted for should the Boeing Starliner go to the International Space Station and then need to deorbit. So in this situation, there will also be a benefit to looking at this data, Dylan. And I wonder, as a launch conductor, you've been involved in a number of those as well.
That's true. And, really, we're just going to keep the team focused on the tasks ahead of us. And, right now that is the most important thing. So we're focused on supporting the blue team, the team on the pad, as they get the white room configured and prepare to egress Sonny and Butch, and then we'll move on to the next step, and we'll proceed methodically until we're we have the vehicle detanked, and in parallel to that, the engineering teams will continue to pour over that data that we collected today and come up with a troubleshooting and plan for resolution, as we always do. Like you said, even with a successful launch, there's an extensive data review that goes into every bit of data that was collected during that flight. And days like today with the launch scrub is no different. So there's a lot of data collected, a lot of data to review, and we'll take advantage of that in order to put ourselves in the best position to continue with an opportunity at the next earliest opportunity when it's right to do so.
We just heard on the nets, I just heard our team here of commentators, Dylan Rice with United Launch Alliance, Lauren Brennicke with Boeing Starliner, and myself, Daryl Nell, here with NASA, that the white room is now configured to begin hatch open operations. Again, the white room is now configured for the team that you see in front of you to begin opening the hatch. If you're just joining us, we had a launch abort at T-minus 3 minutes and 50 seconds. Happened at 12:21 p.m. Eastern Time. We were counting down towards a 12:25 p.m. launch when the ground launch sequencer issued an abort command that stopped the launch of the Atlas V rocket and Boeing Starliner spacecraft. The reason that this ground computer called it is not known at this time, though ULA is looking at the data and studying that. Immediately afterwards, the ULA team began to what's called safe the rocket, essentially making sure that all of those high energy systems are put into a configuration that is safe for people to be out there on the pad and for the astronauts, Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams, to come out of the capsule and head back to astronaut crew quarters. It also signals a time where this team right here was able to re-enter what's called a blast danger area, or BDA, and that's the area around the pad, because when this rocket is fully tanked, should something happen to it, there's an area in which it is considered dangerous. That rocket has to be put into a safe configuration before they allowed the blue team to come on board. That took about 20 or 30 minutes, the ULA team working through their procedures and successfully so, as you can see now. And now we are just watching them as they work, providing you with the transparency on this operation. You're watching NASA's coverage of the scrub of the Boeing Starliner and Atlas V rocket launch scheduled for today at 12:25 p.m. Eastern Time. It was scrubbed just 4 minutes before. You're watching the blue team inside the white room at Launch Complex 41 configure that space so that they can begin removing that hatch, where inside the Starliner you have astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams awaiting to egress or leave the spacecraft. ULA teams are studying an issue that popped up during the countdown. The ground launch sequencer issued an abort call and the countdown was halted just 4 minutes before liftoff. Cause for that is unknown, but teams are discussing. Boeing's blue team now working on the hatch to the Starliner spacecraft. Got one of the panels open. We'll start working to loosen up the bolts, so to speak, and get the hatch opened up and get Sonny and Butch on their way out. I've got Dylan Rice with us here. He is a launch conductor for ULA, not for this mission, but many other missions that ULA has launched. And he is our commentator for today with ULA. And as he has said in our coverage, our post-scrub coverage here, that teams are very much focused on the objective of getting Sonny and Butch out. To recap for our audience, Dylan, we got this scrub at just under T-minus 4 minutes, a moment where the ground launch sequencer, the computer that orchestrates the final systems and operations in the terminal count, issued an abort, and kind of talk me through what you saw as we went through that sequence of events.
Sure, Daryl. So, as we heard, the computers did automatically generate a hold, and that's done when the computer detects a condition that it did not expect during terminal count. So the computer is really in control of the final 4 minutes of the countdown. Our operators verbalize the status of the terminal countdown as the computer runs its script and executes the final steps to launch the rocket. But the computer is really monitoring thousands of parameters and executing commands very, very quickly. And so we still don't have any good clear word yet on what caused this particular hold, but these kinds of holds occur when a command goes out and the computer cannot verify the proper response to a command. And so don't really have any indication yet as to which system that the issue may have been associated with. We just know that it was a computer controlled hold that was initiated. And so our team immediately went into the securing steps to establish a safe, stable configuration for the vehicle. And we're going to maintain that configuration until we get Butch and Sunny out of Starliner, at which point we'll begin detanking the rocket once we have the blue team and the Starliner crew clear of Launch Complex 41.
And Dylan, we're another step closer to getting the crew out of the capsule. As you can see here, the hatch is now open as they begin putting in the basically the equipment necessary to safely egress them or have them come out of the capsule, carefully so. Appreciate the recap there. You mentioned the launch date early on. We don't know when the next launch date will be, but what we do know is we have a backup attempt on Sunday, tomorrow, June 2nd at 12:03 p.m. Eastern Time. That's available if the teams are able to recycle 24 hours and get back out to the pad. That hasn't been determined yet. I'm listening to the nets now as the Capcom talks to the crew inside, giving them updates essentially to what's happening outside the capsule.
Yeah, Daryl, and one other thing that I'll add is that we have our primary launch control team, which is executing our countdown procedures in the launch control center, as was visible on some of the cameras, and that team is really focused on maintaining the configuration of the vehicle. We do have a separate engineering team that is going to be poring over the data that we collected in order to assess the issue that caused the scrub, and that way that data evaluation does not in any way take away from the focus of our launch team in maintaining a proper and safe configuration of the rocket and of Launch Complex 41 while we have people out there. So it's two separate teams that are kind of dividing and conquering what we have ahead of us today with the scrub, and we'll continue to maintain that posture with the one team maintaining control of the vehicle, and that'll be the same team that handles the detanking while the other team begins that data evaluation and works through the cause of the hold we had today.
That's a great point, Dylan. It is, I think you can liken it to the same posture that the systems engineers who are sitting on console, responsible for the various numerous systems that allow a rocket to launch into space. It's just like we're in a countdown, about T minus or L minus 1 hour out. Very much focused on their consoles, watching the data, making sure that this rocket, which is still very much a live rocket at this point, is behaving and the data is coming back that is all nominal and safe while this operation happens. So I don't think it can be understated the focus that ULA is putting on that at this moment in time. But again, as you said, a separate team studying the data because time is of the essence. So reviewing that data to understand what happened with the ground launch sequencer and whether or not that's something that can be remedied in the next 24 hours. I want to just recap briefly what Sunny Williams said during a recent flight readiness review, which seems applicable here. She said that spaceflight is complicated. Every step of the way, we're realizing this. It makes us rethink how we do business. She said, we have a capable spacecraft and we have people that can find solutions. We expect to find things that'll help us make the spacecraft safer to fly and the launch vehicle. These launch dates are not magical. They are an opportunity to do our job, she went on to say, and that her and Butch are armed and ready to handle any contingencies. She said there will be more issues and we'll be ready to handle them. How else can we be ready to do our job? That's astronaut Sonny Williams, who you can see on the left-hand side of your screen, is getting ready to come out of the spacecraft. All right, we're going to send it back to the host desk now with Megan, Mike, and Dee.
Yeah, thank you so much, Daryl, Dylan, and Lauren for providing commentary about the hold that was called around T-minus 3 minutes and 50 seconds to launch. We here at the host desk, obviously, visibly and audibly disappointed. And Mike, I just wanted to ask you again, you know Butch and Sonny so well, what might be going through their minds right now?
Well, of course, this is emotionally disappointing, and I know that Butch and Sonny didn't sound disappointed when we heard them on the loops, and it's because again it comes back to professionalism. I think everybody on the working console is probably a little disappointed today, and that comes with flight tests, that comes with space flights. I remember back in the shuttle days, we would play this game, of getting ready for launch, and then scrubbing, and then coming back and getting the mission done. And I think over time, we won't remember today as or May 6th so much, because we're going to have a great launch in our future. I know there's some disappointment there, but like we mentioned before, it's the team is focused on getting the launch vehicle, the rocket safed, so that the crew could come out, and that the spacecraft itself, the prop system was saved, and that everything is good, so that everybody can come out safely, and then they'll work with the 24-hour turn that ULA is good at, so to see if they can find when the next launch opportunity is. But
Yeah.
we're going to continue being professional and safe, and looking at what's in front of us.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect way to put it. It's okay to be disappointed. It's perfectly understandable, but at the same time, you could absolutely hear the professionalism and how quickly folks are responding to this and moving forward to the next opportunity. Dee, what are your thoughts, again, from Boeing's perspective as we wait for Butch and Sonny to come out of the Starliner spacecraft?
Of course, I think it echoes what we've all heard. This is disappointing. We really wanted to see a liftoff today, but a reminder today, even during this attempt, it takes dozens, if not hundreds, of things to go right for us to get to T-minus 0. That wasn't today, but the good news is we get to try again. So, teams, I'm sure at this point, are focused on the scrubbing sequence and the all the things we have to do to try again tomorrow or whenever that date may be. So we're focused and just going through the process, as simulations that a process we have gone through many simulations until again we get to try to do this again.
Looks like Sunny is out of the spacecraft, and she's going to put some protective boot covers on her shoes, and they'll take her some items from her put it back in her helmet bag. And it looks like Butch is about to be heading out also. They're going to go back to crew quarters at this time, and get ready to do it again when the time is right.
And you were there when they returned to crew quarters on May 6th after the first launch attempt. Can you talk to us about their demeanor then?
Yes, they were. You could tell that they had had a long day, but they actually had a little bit of a smile on their face, which I was. I don't say I was surprised, but I was like glad to see. It made me feel a little bit better about things too, because they do bring the whole team with them, and they've had a great attitude during the whole long quarantine period. So hopefully this is a shorter round, and getting ready for the next time. And D, you said it right. Practice doesn't make perfect, but it makes us a lot better. And we learned a lot of good things about our rocket and our spacecraft today. So the next launch countdown should be that much more smoother, and we're that much more practiced, which is good because a Starliner 1's going to be coming, Starliner 2 is going to be coming, Starliner 3 is going to be coming, and all these lessons are good lessons to learn, and that's flight test for you.
Yeah, one thing that I remember Butch saying at one point was, people might see setbacks and think that they're bad, right? But to him, he always thinks of them as steps forward.
And today, that's definitely a step. Today was definitely a step forward in that case. But we'll be ready for the next time, and you can see them right now. They obviously are looking good, and they're smiling a little bit and enjoying. Again, the pad crew is there to help them, and they're just it's a really great team.
And I think a step forward is, I would think that Butch would say a step forward today is this was again another great rehearsal. You know what I mean? And whenever we do try to launch again, I can imagine that things will be faster and smoother and more choreographed and rehearsed because they did have this opportunity today.
Yeah, for sure. The commander for Starliner 1, he was in the BMCC. It's Scott Tingle, and I know he and I and our crewmate Josh Kutrick, who was Capcom, we all got a lot out of today. So again, this is just all helping the next missions be even that much better. And yeah, you can see Butch is having a nice chat. They're going to get ready to go down the elevator and back to the crew van and back to crew quarters.
Yeah, he does seem like he's in good spirits. Again, like you said, chatting with the pad team members who just helped him and Sunny get out of the spacecraft. So that pad team had left the pad, obviously. And in those final moments, it was just Bush and Sunny before that hold call at T-minus 3 hours and, 3 minutes and 50 seconds. And so right after that call, as we heard from Daryl and Dylan and Lauren, they safed the vehicle, made sure it was in a safe configuration for the pad team to return to the launch pad and to begin the procedures to open up the side hatch there so that Butch and Sunny could get out.
I think one thing that helped this time was we had on May 6th. It was kind of late at night. It was well after dark when they went out to the pad, and or when we scrubbed the launch. And this time it's in the middle of the day, so they can go back and have a nice dinner and go to bed at a normal time and get up and see if tomorrow is the magic day. We're still waiting, I think, for official word on when the next launch opportunity might be, or when the next launch opportunity will be chosen. Looks like if tomorrow could be a date, and if that were to happen, it would be at 12:03 p.m.
And for folks just joining us, just to recap so far, so there was an automatic hold by the ground launch sequencer at T-minus 3 minutes and 50 seconds to launch, so about 12:21 p.m. Eastern time today. The ground launch sequencer is essentially the computer that launches the rockets. It controls all the systems needed in the final moments of the countdown. And the ULA team will still be looking into why it appears the ground launch sequencer did not enter into the right configuration for launch. That is why the automatic hold was triggered at, again, T-minus 3 minutes and 50 seconds. As you can see on your screen, the next launch opportunity tomorrow, June 2nd, 12:03 p.m. Eastern time. Again, that's just an opportunity. Teams will review the data from what happened today to determine whether or not they can make that launch opportunity. You see Sunny walking across the crew access arm now. back into the white room, where a pad team member is helping her to put back on her helmet or the cover.
A visor cover, yes.
And that's to make sure it doesn't scratch. Nothing scratches.
Yes,
right?
it's very frustrating to have a visor that's scratchy and then it's hard to replace. So we protect them carefully, and so they'll be able to make it back to the suit room where where the crew will get unsuited, and the suits will get cleaned and dried and ready for the next time to go launch.
And give us some insight as to what happened. So, we ended our coverage last time on May 6th after Butch and Sunny arrived to crew quarters. What happens after that?
Yes, so they arrive at crew quarters. It was kind of funny because I met them right at the Astrovan. We said a few joking words, and then I asked Butch if I could carry his helmet bag, and he said nope. And same with Sunny. They're I would say fiercely independent, but they just say, hey, we're professionals, we got this. So we went up to the suit room where the Boeing and David Clark team, the suit team was there, and they helped the crew get out of their suits safely. You can see it's a little windy, and a blue Sunny's helmet cover is a little bit loose. Hopefully somebody sees it, puts it carefully back on, or we'll have a piece of FOD. Oh, there it is. And so then they get that out of their suits, and then they go back to their rooms at the astronaut quarantine facility or crew quarters, and they will get out of their undergarments and take a quick shower, get refreshed, and then find out what the plan is for the next time, whether it's tomorrow or not. And so that's what happened last time, and at this point last time we thought the launch might be the next day also. So they're keeping their optimism right now and keeping options open.
Sure. And so we just saw Butch and Sunny and the pad team members get inside the elevator at level 12, which is the level that allows them access to the Starliner spacecraft. So now they are making their way down to the base of the crew access tower. And here they come out of the elevators again.
You can see they have their white booties on there. That's to make sure that any gravel or any small little pieces of dirt or rocks don't get into their fancy boots, and it protects the spacecraft, the Calypso, for the next opportunity.
And so we just saw there that the Astrovan is already at the base of the crew access tower. So they will get on in there. And then it's a short ride over to astronaut crew quarters, which is basically it's like the whole west wing of the third floor of the operations and checkout building here, right?
Yes, and not only are the flight crew there, but we have the chief astronaut. We have our vehicle integration and test office folks there. So there's many rooms at the astronaut crew quarters for sure. And of course the team that makes the meals. They do a fantastic job on feeding us while we're in quarantine. And I think they probably just got word that they're going to have to come up with a dinner for tonight, and they're scrambling like all the rest of us. And I know they're going to do a great job. And I bet you Butch and Sunny are hungry now.
I was going to say, I remember specifically Butch and Sunny both saying that they felt like the food at astronaut crew quarters was excellent. So, there's always these silver linings, right? A good meal tonight would do them good, I would assume.
Well, to be honest, Butch and Sunny are my heroes, and I consider them national heroes too. And at least we can do is feed them nicely.
And so there have still been family members who've been quarantining with them. Will they have some family time? After they probably debrief and some of the things that you already mentioned.
Yeah, that's a great point. Last time it was kind of late at night, and family time was a little bit hard to come by. But this time, looks there might be a great opportunity to have the families come by. I think Butch and Sunny are staying quarantined. The families may have gotten out of quarantine, but we have a nice glass room where Butch and Sunny can sit and talk to their families. We call it BTG, or behind the glass.
Oh. All right, and we see the Astrovan there, turning around, driving away now from the crew access tower. Again, a short drive back to crew quarters, about 15-20 minutes. Again, for those just joining us, this was our second attempt at launching NASA's Boeing crew flight test. At around 3 minutes and 50 seconds to launch, an automatic hold was triggered by the ground launch sequencer. And that GLS for short is the computer that launches the rocket, because it controls all the systems needed in the final moments of the countdown. So if you remember when we were in terminal count and you heard the teams calling out and saying, you know, this is done, kind of ticking off things off the checklist, it was the ground launch sequencer, right, Mike? That were triggering all of those steps.
Yes. So that's what's really neat about modern launch vehicles and rockets, is that we can let the computers get all the sequence of events that needs to happen. A lot of valves opening and igniters igniting to get a launch properly. And so for some reason today, the launch sequencer said, "Hey, something's not right. I didn't pass my self checks," and stopped the launch at 3 minutes and 50 seconds to go.
And it's great that we have these safeties in place, right? For there to be an automatic trigger, you know, if there were something wrong, really is a safety to have.
And yeah, that really helps with both reliability and safety for sure. And that's what's really nice about the rockets that we send humans on. That you know, I think the SLS, the Artemis rocket, also has a ground launch sequencer, different design, but the same purpose of making sure everything happens. And if it doesn't, it's hold off from launch, and we'll do it again some other time. Well, the good news is they can watch the next chapter of Maverick on their way back and get excited again for the next time.
Again, when we launch, this will be a historic mission. Only the 6th time that NASA astronauts will fly on a new crewed vehicle, space vehicle. Sunny would have been the first woman to test an orbital spacecraft. Of course, Butch and Sunny, the first two to fly in space, to fly in Starliner in general. This crewed flight test, part of NASA's commercial crew program to certify a second commercial spacecraft to ferry astronauts to and from the space station. And this is interesting, actually. Once in orbit, for the first time in NASA history, the agency will have 3 different crew spacecraft operating in space simultaneously. So you would have the International Space Station, the SpaceX Crew Dragon, and also Boeing Starliner spacecraft. So again, once in orbit, another milestone.
Yeah, I have a feeling, Megan and Dee, that low Earth orbit's going to become more and more busy, and that's a really good thing for our country, and it's very good for the space program overall, and good for humans.
And let's talk about this crew flight test again. There are 87 test objectives that teams are looking to review, right, in order to certify Starliner. Can you talk us through some of those objectives?
Yes, so it's a really neat list that we put together, and I think Boeing was always careful to say the whole flight itself is a test, because a lot of things that you put together, you can test them in small individual units, but this is the first time that we've had the humans and the rocket and the spacecraft all together going to dock to the space station. So that's a big test objective, is to have mission success. And today we got this much closer for that. The actual flight test objectives on the lower level, as well as that we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, called operational checkouts of capability, OCCs, really focus on two main areas. One area is how does the spacecraft fly? In the simulators, it flies a certain way. We know the laws of physics really well, and Boeing really analyzed the orbital flight tests 1 and 2, how well it flew. But this time we're going to put a human in the loop with the hand controllers, and we fully expect it to fly just like it does in the simulators. But now we'll know if we ever needed to manually dock the spacecraft or to use it for deorbit. We'll have great confidence, and that's part of what certification is. It's saying NASA has confidence that the Starliner will do what it needs to do and keep our crews safe and going back and forth to the space station. So we have a lot of those. I think interview earlier with Chris Ferguson, he talked about, hey, can you point the spacecraft to the sun to charge the solar panels? Can you point it to the tracking and data relay satellites to get communications? So those are all really important flight test objectives.
Sure.
But we're also looking at Starliner as a place to hold humans on the way to and back from space stations. So how is the Egress system working, the environmental control and life support? How is the temperature? All these little things that matter. How is the communication system? A lot of these things that are really important for what you would expect in the spacecraft. And we think that they're all great. We did a lot of ground testing, but you never know till you actually try. And then there's also the Starliner as a lifeboat aboard space station, because for a 6-month crew, if something happens, they should be able to get into Starliner and wait for 24 hours in a safe haven, or if not, come back.
Right.
And so, does the station portable computer system work in Starliner? Does do we get Wi-Fi inside Starliner or not from the space station side? We don't think so, but we'll check it out. So there's lots of things to check while we're there, and Butch and Sunny will come back with some great data.
And speaking of Butch and Sunny coming back, they are actually passing us right now at the host desk. The host desk is at Kennedy Space Center's press site and across the street from the iconic vehicle assembly building. So we are hearing some helicopter sound from above, and we now have eyes on the security convoy and the Astrovan with Butch and Sunny inside.
Yay, go Butch, go Sunny, go Starliner.
Not much of a trip from here, about 10 minutes. So we should be back at crew quarters here shortly.
It's a lot easier with the police escort.
Yeah. Again, we're talking about Commander Butch Wilmore, NASA astronaut and retired U.S. Navy captain. As a naval pilot, he racked up more than 8,000 flight hours. Before his selection to NASA, he was on exchange to the Air Force as a flight test instructor. And he is a veteran of 2 space flights as pilot on Space Shuttle Atlantis in 2009. And then in 2014, he served as a flight engineer for Expedition 41. So CFT will be his 3rd mission to the ISS. And then Sunny Williams, of course, CFT's pilot, also a retired U.S. Navy captain. Her first trip to the ISS was in 2006. She served as flight engineer for Expeditions 14-15. She then returned to the orbiting lab in 2012 and was commander of Expedition 33. She has more than 50 hours of spacewalk time. It's actually the 2nd most cumulative time by a female astronaut. And so CFT will also be her 3rd trip to space. Again, their background is something to be said here. Mike, again, they're used to this. Scrubs are par for the course.
And with a new spacecraft on a new to us rocket, and for ULA having humans on board, this is all new. So we expect to have some hiccups, small hiccups like this for the new things. So yeah, it's a little bit disappointing, but we're moving forward and looking forward to the next time to suit up and go again.
But I think they like being a test pilot for a new vehicle, right? They've spoken about that a bunch of times.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
yes, that's a dream come true for all of us,
Right.
and I'm really glad that Butch and Sonny had this opportunity. I've kept in touch with Doug Hurley, for example, from Bob and Doug. Remember that show
Sure.
from 4 years ago, and so yeah, they was it's a point of professional pride to be selected to go fly on a first flight, and Butch and Sonny are definitely ready to go, and so they understand it comes this way with flight test.
Yeah, I remember Butch in particular saying, like, to be in the same group as, John Young, Robert Crippen, Wally Schirra, like those folks who flew on the previous 5 new spacecraft. He really feels that is a point of pride, and same with Sonny as well.
Well, I'm very proud to work with them and very proud to know them, and I'm proud of what we've all accomplished so far.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have been working together for so many years now. Again, to bring Starliner online, to bring SpaceX's Dragon online, to really make it so that we do have a robust commercial crew program. It's really a testament to you guys.
Well, as personally as an engineer and as a flight tester, I really this is what I dream about, and having this chance to do it and work with such fantastic teams, both in industry like Boeing and SpaceX, as well as with our NASA team and the commercial crew program. It's a very exciting time, and all of these lessons I hope that we're taking with us will help us. As the administrator said earlier on in this broadcast, help us be much more ready for the moon, for our gateway the gateway space station around the moon, the 2 landers that we have. All of these are good lessons learned. Some of the lessons that we saw today are we saw United Launch Alliance. Something went wrong with one of their sensors and controllers, and they had a plan and they executed it. When the clock is ticking, it was a little bit of a stressful time for the Centaur upper stage, and they handled that magnificently.
Yeah.
And so those are the lessons learned, to be operationally ready for things, because they will happen, and have plans in advance. What did Edna Mode say on The Incredibles? Luck favors the prepared.
Wow. That's a perfect a quote. You had to have that ready. Come on.
Oh yes.
That was so good. That was too perfect.
They're making the turn. They're
Yep.
just very close to the crew quarters and the operations and checkout building, and they'll be getting out of their suits in just a few minutes.
Yep. Sometimes it can be hard to distinguish, features of Kennedy Space Center because it is so big, and it's a very operational center. But yes, I did know where we were by that turn in particular. That really, there's only a couple more minutes in this ride left. Of course, Mike, knowing so much about this mission, and Butch and Sonny, because you were initially scheduled to fly on CFT, you will instead be pilot for the first operational mission after the certification flight, Starliner 1, but you trained also as their backup pilot for this mission.
That is correct. If and I hope not to be ever used in that situation. Butch and Sonny are the right team for this mission, and but it's good to know that that we have that preparation and prepared for the case of any contingency, or the ones that we can think of, and that just makes that much better for Starliner 1 to be ready for its flight 2. I might not be able to be there at the launch broadcast for that one.
Oh, why?
But who knows? Maybe we'll call you guys from the White Room.
Don't tease me like that. Don't tease me like that, Mike.
Oh, it'll go to voicemail. I have a feeling.
No, if I knew you'd call, oh no, oh no, it'd be on ring. Okay, and when the crew arrives at astronaut crew quarters here, as Mike has been saying, they will have some time to relax, get out of their suits, likely a debrief, right, of what we know so far, because the ULA team is continuing to look at the data and try to see exactly what happened with the ground launch sequencer today.
They might have a chance to spend a little bit of time with their families who are here for the launch, and get a chance to talk it through, and then of course dinner. Maybe maybe it's just me missing the dinners at crew quarters.
Again, if you are just joining us and you're seeing on the bottom of your screen there, the next launch opportunity is June 2nd, 12:03 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, opportunity. Right now, we don't know if teams will elect to take that opportunity, but we are talking about next opportunities because we had to stand down from today's launch attempt. Teams were trying to launch Butch and Sunny in Starliner atop a ULA Atlas V rocket at 12:25 p.m. Eastern Time today. But just under 4 minutes before launch, an automatic hold was triggered by the ground launch sequencer. And again, Mike, talk to us about what that ground launch sequencer is. It's important.
Yes, the old way we used to do rockets before computers, we'd have to make sure all the valves and the telemetry was good, and before we'd hit the launch button. But now with modern technology, we're able to have a computer to make sure everything is correct, and it happens at the right microsecond, so that the valves open, the fuel flows, the igniters ignite, along with the solid rocket boosters on the side, and have it happen with less than second precision to meet that instantaneous launch window. So the ground launch sequencers are normal for all modern rockets, including the Atlas. And for some reason today, when the ground launch sequencer at 3 minutes and 50 seconds to launch said, "Hey, something's not right. I'm gonna stop the sequence," and that's when our opportunity for today went away. But like you mentioned, Megan, indeed, as before, is that that just keeps things safe and keeps us on track for a successful mission in the future.
And as you said, as teams review what happened today, NASA, Boeing, and ULA, we are planning a news conference at 3 p.m. Eastern today. An opportunity for us to be as transparent as possible about what happened today. Also gives us a little bit more time for teams to, again, review as much as they can so that they can release the most up-to-date information that they have. So again, you see it on your screen there. News conference scheduled for 3 p.m. Eastern Time here from Kennedy Space Center to give you any new information we can about today's scrub of NASA's Boeing crew flight test. You can watch it on NASA TV, NASA Plus, and our social media channels. Again, 3 p.m. Eastern Time today. And also, as you know, for more information as you follow along with launch and also this entire mission, you can always head to blogs.nasa.gov/Boeing crew flight test. You see that there on your screen. A great resource. It's where we put all of our information so that you can follow along on this exciting journey we have for this flight test. Now it's hard to see. Did we see Butch and Sunny get out of the Astrovan yet?
We didn't, but if it happened like last time, as soon as those doors opened and the steps went down, they were out. And
Okay.
there we go.
Yeah, the Astrovan leaving now. So again, if you're just joining us, there was a decision to stand down from today's launch attempt at 12:25 p.m. Eastern of NASA's Boeing crew flight test. We have walked you through the hours leading up to that decision to stand down, and also so that we could watch Butch and Sunny get out of the Starliner spacecraft, and now they are safely back at crew quarters. Before we wrap up, Mike, any final words to wrap up today?
I think what we saw today was space flight in almost its finest form. There were problems along the way. We solved them. We worked together as a team. Communications happened, and I hope we all take that lesson forward, because that's just a recipe for success anywhere. In the meantime, our crew are safe. Space station is still going, and we'll have another opportunity, hopefully very soon, to have Starliner fly its maiden flight with human beings.
Right.
And I'm looking forward to that very much. Go Butch, go Sunny, go Atlas, go Centaur, go Starliner.
Go D. Any notes from Boeing?
No, very similar to what Mike just said. Obviously, this is a team effort, and so we're looking forward to what the findings are and what our next opportunity will be.
Right. Again, thank you everyone for watching. We have a press conference planned for 3 p.m. Eastern time on NASA Plus, NASA TV, our social media channels, where again we will share anything that we can with you about the developing situation we have here at Kennedy Space Center. But for now, thank you again for watching, and we'll see you when we launch.